Ladies and gentlemen of the Budget Watch, the challenge has been thrown. Any questions from the audience? Please, if you can go to the mic and just state your name, organization, and then the question.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Ronel Del Rio from the Philippine Coalition on UNCRPD. First, I'd like to say that I'm very happy that we are in this generation, that many things are changing. And thank you for teaching me the term creative destruction, because I was being accused of being so noisy in my sector that sometimes government don't want to invite me in forums. Anyway, two things. One is I'm appealing to Rappler that please make sure that the website is accessible so that PWDs, especially those with print with disabilities, can participate. We have time to monitor and give us that time, equip us so that we can help you in monitoring, because perhaps other segments of society have many things to do. We are still finding things to do because the government doesn't want to give us work. Second, for the past decades, 2003 to 2012, we have this 1% that should be used for our good. But unfortunately, another decade came and no accounting has been done by relevant agencies. So I'm appealing to COA, please hear us. And to the Undersecretary Moya, we have 25 billion pesos supposedly from PDAF. It has been declared constitutional. Towards the 2015 budget, how would you make the steps so that the 25 billion will be allocated at least 2% for those vulnerables? Thank you.
I think there is a fund that is required to provide for the disabled. I think that's an attribution. We have to attribute X% of the budget to, and I think that's being attributed to them. I think, I guess the question is that, is there something more we can do other than the attribution? I guess that's it's a fair question also. Part of the answer is in the bottom-up budgeting. We have introduced a mechanism the last 2 years where we actually go down to the grassroots and actually ask them exactly what you want funded. And we have doubled that number of groups that were participating, and we continue to grow that both in nominal terms and in the budget that we're allocating. The question then is, that's in the local government. So now, I think this one, the relevant question is, will we have a bottom-up for certain sectors? I think that's the question. And maybe that's something that we can discuss in the lexicon. But let me assure everyone that at DBM, I know that because in the ERB, there is a question on the attribution, not just on the amount of budget for the differently abled, there's also an attribution for gender.
God.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And
gender and development, it's 5%. Yeah.
5%, yes, ma'am. So even in the local government, there's an attribution po. The question then is, are we putting that properly? The part of the answer is for the citizens to check and give us feedback if it's not being done. Clearly, the person who asked for that question clearly is saying he doesn't feel it. Yeah. So we hear that. So now the next question is, let's break it down into some actionable items that it's not actually being put there, or that the attribution is wrong, or maybe we should have a separate fund. We're willing to listen.
For our part, we actually audit as much of it that we can. And these are all included or reported in our audit reports, which we post on the web, by the way. So whatever your area of interest would be, whether it's a local government, a national government, or a government corporations, you'll find them in our web. What year, what agency, so they're all there. Invariably, we look at, for example, Bon mentioned about the GAD, which is the Gender and Development, that 5% required by law, which every agency of government should set aside and spend for activities that will promote gender equality and so forth and so on. We audit that. And we have all of these findings in our audit reports. You don't have to read our entire audit reports. Just go at least to the executive summary. It would be about 2 to 3 pages for every agency, but of course it depends how many findings we have. Now also disaster funds. There is also an earmarking by the law, an attribution that they should set aside X%. They should, the local government should come up with their own council, etc., etc. And we have had a lot of findings, even right here in Metro Manila, where local governments have not complied with these requirements, and we pointed them out. They're all there. The same thing with the people with disability. Yeah, I think that's the law. There is also an attribution there. And so we're looking at all of these things. You see, the audit outlook or the audit focus, we've changed that. We've sort of shifted. Before, it was just crunching numbers. You know, it's a financial audit. Was it booked properly? Did you compute it properly? And so forth and so on. This time, it's different. We're doing more performance audit. By performance, we mean we are now looking at the specific programs and projects and how they have really, if at all, helped the intended beneficiaries. So it's a more difficult kind of audit, but I think that it is a better one in terms of informing the citizen what has really happened to his money. So I hope that helps.
Any other questions from the audience? Please go ahead.
I'm happy to note, though, that there is a convergence because in the 2014, it's already a performance-informed budget, which is publicly declared, and that you can download that. So in terms of the number of streets that need to be paved, by when, it's all there.
So
It's easier now to take us to task for that, the commitments that we make.
please, your name, organization, and
good
then your
evening, Miss. Good evening. My name is Arvin Paulo Cortez, third year BA Political Science from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and member of the University of the Philippines Association of Political Science Majors, the Filipino Liberal Youth. My question is to the Madam Secretary, Madam Commissioner Tan. Are you keen in following the internal revenue allotment, in releasing a special report on it? Because as we know, it comprises more than the allocation for the PDAF. So what's your take on that,
Yeah,
ma'am?
Iho, look at our audit reports, no, dun sa mga local governments. Anong gusto mo? Abra, Tayum, whatever. It's all in our website.
Yes.
And when we audit the local governments, invariably, we mention something about their era.
Yes,
Okay, saan nagamit? Merong bagong issue ngayon, I will tell you, no?
Yes,
There is a 20% development fund. 20% of the era must be earmarked for development fund. Okay? And every year, meron sila niyan. The annual investment plan of a local government, no? And we follow that if they are complying with their own plans, you see?
Yes,
They're the ones who make the plans. And so what is their performance? Meron din yan. Now, the issue now is, it's already it's December.
Yes.
And especially for those that have been struck by very terribly by the recent typhoon and even the one in Bohol, there is so much reconstruction and rehabilitation work that needs to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
Ubus na ang ira nila kasi December na, diba?
Yes, ma'am.
So saan sila ngayong kukuha unless they will rely on national government? So we are not trying to look into that particular mechanism so that hopefully by the start of January, kasi bago na naman yan bagong cycle, then they will have something in place for their rehab. And a lot of that self-help Maria, if I may just digress a little bit.
Please.
For me, one of the things I'm so passionate about is also the doctrine of self-help. We are usually very dependent on government when there are a lot of things that we on our own can do. Okay, so that's it's a matter of the local governments becoming aware and what sources of funds they may have and how they can tap this So that's one of the things there. That's part of ERA, by the way.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Can I just follow up? You talked about the funding for disasters. I mean, your thoughts on the Supreme Court's decision on Malampaya, and then now, right after PDAF was declared unconstitutional, there's a great movement to turn this money into disaster relief. I guess, how do you keep track of this? How are you monitoring all of this shift while everything is already moving?
Okay, in respect of disaster aid and relief,
Right.
okay, we're doing it for the first time also in COA to conduct an almost simultaneous audit of the funds coming in, being transferred, going out, where are they being spent. So we are working with the DBM quite closely on this. We already have the tracker of the foreign aid, the FAITH.
Yes,
We call
yes.
it the FAITH Hub. But that's only one side of it. That's
Correct.
the
Foreign
focus.
aid
Yeah.
coming in. Yes.
Where does it go? We are already on the ground, and our people are spread, and we are partnering with the PICPA. This is the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and the Junior Philippine Institute of Accountants, the students, because we need a lot of people to be on the ground to help us check and validate. Okay, so that's one thing that we're doing about disaster aid, and it's a big job, I would say, that we're doing. But we're happy to do that because I think that that's what we need. We are in a state of a national calamity, and we hope that as soon as the President lifts that, we will be able to render a report to the public within 2 weeks, because we are doing the audit practically the same
Real
time that
time.
things are happening. Yes.
Fantastic. Good luck. Yes.
Let me
please.
take a swing on the opposite end,
Yeah.
related to that. Just this year, everyone hates lump sum.
Yes.
Everyone wants things disaggregated. Just a few months ago, they were chewing the president's social fund. They were chewing PDAF correctly, and then they were chewing the calamity fund. We should disaggregate the calamity fund. Just a few weeks ago, now everyone is saying that cannot be done precisely because during these times we need a high degree of flexibility. Part of the learning there is that we have to be circumspect.
Yeah.
My dad always tells me, be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. So that's I think that's a learning. So when we start attacking government for being so evil and lumping all these things, then we have to put things in perspective. The other part is this. Let's have, and this was brought about by the comment about local government. We put the executive on a transparency level on this side. And then we put everyone else on a transparency level slightly lower than that, including the private sector. We get mad when the public gets all these funds and then starts to tell that, oh, don't give money to government for aid. It will just go to the pockets of politicians. Lo and behold, government of the 15 billion pledges given to us, government only receives about 1.5%. 98.5% goes to
Directly to the
institutions that are not government. There is no demand
For accountability.
for accountability from this group.
Actually,
Why is that? Why is the sauce for the goose different for the sauce for the gander? Why? Of course, you understand because these are public funds.
Right.
But see, these are also OPM, other people's money. So we should have the same level of standards. And if you cannot comply with that degree of transparency and accountability on other people's money, you also reduce the right to ask for the same things from government.
Well, we hope that kind of demand for a level of accountability actually increases from across the board, across
For
all
example,
industries and sectors.
Good case. Just to I guess once in a while put the tables. No one has asked the stations to account for the money that they've gotten, that they've given. All we got is a declaration from TV that this went to this one. And that's good enough for the people.
Who can ask for that?
The public.
No, I mean, who? Is there a government agency that monitors that kind of...
It's not
There's
public
nothing.
funds.
They're not
It's
public.
not public
Interesting.
funds.
But it's audited, right? It's
By
audited
whom?
and reported to...
By whom?
That
None.
money should be audited by the company, and it's reported to BIR.
They are not required to audit that because that's in aid. of course, you have to give a lot of goodwill on this particular path. That most of it are genuine help for other people. And if there are some leakages, it's probably because of inefficiency. But not everyone has that same standard.
It's a good point.
So you expect homogeneous behavior from government, but not expect homogeneous behavior from the private sector.
Well, hopefully, Blogwatch will actually demand the same. Jane will. Well,
Not just demand. In the same manner that you expect results from your government, we should expect the same results from you from tasking and making these guys to account. And if you give us deadlines, you should give yourselves deadlines as well.
Good challenge. Yes, CSOs. Go ahead.
Let me just say something here.
Go, Jane.
I'm Jane Uy Matiao, and I'm part of Blogwatch. We're on social media. I'm a citizen advocate.
She's also an accountant, so.
I'm an auditor by profession, but now I'm a citizen advocate, and we're monitoring, what the government is doing for transparency and good governance. First of all, before anything, I'd like to congratulate COA for the idea of citizens' participatory audit. A lot of us on social media are looking forward to being able to help in that aspect. But I think I would like to add on to what Yusek Moya was saying, because he was saying no one is asking the same accountability that we are asking from government as far as foreign aid is concerned. I would just like you to know that even before Faith came out, we started on our own an initiative. It's a citizens initiative called #AidMonitorPH. And what we are doing in #AidMonitorPH is to cover, aside from what is channeled through government, to cover what goes through NGOs, what goes through private foundations, and all this. But this is really a first cut. I think we would like to work together with government, because we understand that you will only be accountable for what goes through your channels. But we also feel that there needs to be a citizen group that will monitor what goes through other channels. So maybe this is an area where we would really like to work together with you. Maybe to Commissioner Tan, I want to ask whether all of these funds reported in Faith are going to be covered by your audits.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Just to add to it, people think that goes. There are only 3 agencies that get aid: DSWD, and NDRRMC, and DOH. Only 3 agencies.
Yeah.
DBM doesn't get any of that money. DPWH doesn't get any of that money. And so just 3 agencies.
Okay, those that go to non-government agencies, of course, we will not audit. What we are auditing is the entry, because they all go through DFA. DFA keeps
Correct.
Yeah.
But on our part, we feel that the donors, especially those that are coming from private foundations abroad and private individuals abroad, a lot of these people have actually echoed on social media that they would like somebody watching the money that they're giving to us. So we're going to try.
We have something. It's just too early. We will work with you so that we can account as best as we can, informally, even those that do not pass through government. So we will contact you next week.
Challenge thrown, challenge accepted. We have the next.
We take it back.
I know.
We take the challenge back.
Please, your name and your organization and your question.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Veneranda Mateo from the group of the Social Watts and an Alternative Budget. And I'm also working with the Katipunan ng Mamamayan ng Bagong Pilipinas Incorporated and the president of the Federation of Valenzuela for PWD. And I am a member of the LPROT for the local, for the what do you call this? For the funding that we are going to, we had this proposal for the BUB, now the Grassroots, because as they said from the NAPSI, it changed from the BUB to Grassroots because the president doesn't like the sound like glug, glug, glug. So that's it. So this is my...
bottoms up budget.
Yeah, bottoms up. So this is the question I would like to... the bottom-up budgeting or the grassroots, as we say now, is the grassroots budgeting, will only materialize if the LGU had the seal of good housekeeping. No budget will be released if the local government doesn't have the seal of good housekeeping. So the question is, what will happen to the CSOs who made the proposals? How can these people get the money if the local government is not approved because there's no seal of good housekeeping?
Okay.
So what are we going to do? We made this proposal, we submitted it, and then nothing will be released to us.
Sorry, let me be metaphysical a bit. You do not put new wine in old wine skins. Okay. If you put that money in a local government that cannot account for it, then there's an issue again on the efficacy of that expenditure. I agree with you that to some degree that deprives them of the things that they need to do. But first things first, you should ensure that your local government complies with that. And what are those seal of good housekeeping? Those are really just publishing their budget, publishing it in areas where people can account for them. So these are all transparency, accountability mechanisms. So if we give money to someone who doesn't, to an LGU, or at least the leadership of that LGU who cannot account for it, there is no assurance that you will also get the same amount of funds.
So
first, you have to, I think, let's not put the cart before the horse. The first order of the day is to ensure that your local government has the seal of good housekeeping, period. And then let's start all the other, because that has benefit not just for BUB. That has a more strategic and more, because BUB budgets are a small budget relative to the whole LGU.
Yeah.
If you force them to get the good housekeeping, you get better confidence on not just the grassroots budget, but the totality of that budget.
So what happened to us when we have these projects that we wanted to pursue, and yet our government or the local government is not really, what do you call this?
Boot them out. Don't elect them the next time around. You have
The
that
process,
opportunity
yeah.
to correct that problem every 3 years.
That's what I mean by the power of the citizen. The electoral reform should come next.
But here's what we do. We complain that our local government are not transparent and that they're not responsive to the needs of the certain sectors. And yet I assure you, year in, year out, you elect the same last name in that local government. Every 3 years, you have a chance to answer that question.
So we have to guard. We have to guard the people who are managing our local.
But to also assure you, if you submit that BUB, it goes to a group in DBM that actually collates and manages all of those. Those that do not get it because there's no seal of good housekeeping, they actually refer that to DILG. And they'll tell DILG, look, there are certain sectors in that group that do not get their grassroots budgeting simply because. So there is already an intervention to some degree through the budget process. But the better solution is not to elect them again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can I
thank
say
you very much.
something
Go ahead.
about the seal of good housekeeping? Because we are also involved. I think one of the requirements is that your local government should get at least a qualified opinion on their financial statements. So what is a well, there are four opinions that we render, and qualified is the second highest, so it were. Now, a lot of local governments do not get a qualified opinion. It may be adverse. A lot of them get an adverse opinion. And why? Because a lot of the local governments do not have complete set of books. So in other words, their way of accounting is already a little questionable. They don't have complete set of books. They don't comply with our recommendations. And then they will say, oh, but that was during the previous term. That's not our term. But we don't care, because we're talking about the same LGU. So it's like, it's a turf thing, That's not our administration, so we don't bother with it. But, until they address all those concerns, even in past administrations, because they accumulate to the present, they are not going to get that seal of good housekeeping.
And let me add to this, mom makes it appear that the past administrations are different. In truth, it's the same family.
Yeah, it's the same.
So they're answering all your questions. We have roughly 15 minutes left, and it doesn't look like Secretary Abad will make it because he's still in a budget hearing now. So please come up with your questions. Ask tough ones, please.
I am Borsi Fabros from the Alternative Budget Initiative of Social Watch Health Cluster. First, I would like to say that our monitoring of the pork barrel, the lump sum, the special purpose funds, we have done this since the very beginning of our budgeting, 2006. So it is not only during the Aquino administration that we've been doing this. So as early as 2006, we have raised these issues already. Then my second point is, we would like to tell DBM to say to the agencies that the uploading of the GAA, as far as the agencies are concerned, should be up to the programs and projects. Otherwise, we will not be able to make sense of it. Okay? And make it as popular as possible.
I understand.
Because it is so technical, ordinary citizens will not be able to understand it.
We agree.
Okay, so that's first. Then the third point is, while probably COA administrator may have inherited this, the COA report is late, 2 years late. And so in our budgeting, maybe that could be your legacy to make it on time so that it will inform civil society pursuing budget in the authorities, in the planning stage to be instructed by the COA report.
Yeah. When was it 2 years late? Because I know that we are 1 year late, simply because, so for now, 2013, the 2012 reports are coming out. Yes.
It's still coming out.
How many more agencies have not come out for 2012? Because I don't think
At
it's
least,
2 years.
Yeah, at least the Department of Health.
Department of Health has
Yeah,
not come
yeah.
out for
But anyway, it is-
No, I want to know. I don't like an
Yeah.
anyway.
No.
I think you have made a very, very strong statement
Yes,
that
yes.
our reports are
I
2
think
years
the point
late.
is it
And
is late.
I'm sorry, but I will not take that sitting down because I take this thing seriously. Because
okay.
precisely that's one of the things that I've been looking into. Ayoko ng late. But
Tama.
there could be reasons, There could be reasons why I want to know what particular agency so I could
It's the
find
Department
out.
of Health.
The Department of Health. For 2012, it has not come out?
We did not see the 2012.
It's not in the website
COA.
yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so I will
So
take
at
a,
least I think
a look at
we
that.
would like to
What
be able
else?
to work it out.
Because we are auditing about 5,000 agencies.
Yeah.
So if it's Department of Health is 1 over 5,000, I
Yes.
don't think it's a fair statement, what you said,
No,
that
but
we are 2 years
what
late.
I'm saying is, we would like to be able to utilize the COA report.
Sure, that's why we
Yeah.
post them on the
Yes.
web. But
And-
you see, it's always like at least a year late because that's
And
that's
that
the
means
cycle.
For us to be able to intelligently pursue a plan for the Department of Health for 2014, we would like to be able to look at the COA report.
Yeah, I will take a look at that.
program.
Can you please, Gary, can you please get her
Yes, please.
contact details
And then
so that
now,
we can
for
find out?
2015,
Yeah.
we are already starting for the 2015 budgeting. And so we would like to be instructed again by the COA report.
On health.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you very
Gary,
much.
could you please? Wonderful.
May I?
Go
Let me
ahead,
start
go
with the
ahead.
agreements. The last 2 years, the DBM has been publishing the people's budget, and it's there is a group of people working hard to make it as laymanized as possible, and it has a lot of infographics. It's in the website, and we print it. So the last 2 years, I hope you have checked it. It's in the website. Also, I'd like also for you to note that when we submit the budget to Congress this year, when we submitted the budget to Congress, that afternoon, the NEP is already published in our website, downloadable. That was the same last year. So in fact, many of you see the budget earlier than the congressmen.
Correct.
Because when we submit it to you, it's automatically published. I think it's as detailed as what we have, and we publish that as detailed as we have. In one forum, I got a complaint that says, yeah, sure, you publish all your this stick of PDF. We can't parse those because now we have to retype everything. We heard you. I don't know if you checked, the last 2 years, the budget is in machine-readable, downloadable format, and it's in the website.
Yes,
as well.
we complained about that also, but thank you, thank you. Question, please, go ahead, just come up to the mic.
But let me just
When-
go ahead, sir, while you're walking. We agree that the budget should not be technical. We agree fully that it should be presented in a manner where the taxpayers will actually understand it.
Wonderful.
Fully.
While we're waiting for a question to come
Yeah.
up,
Good evening. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm Abner Manlapas from the Philippine Coalition on Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which is a member of the Social Watch Philippines. I just want to ask yung tungkol sa DAP, well, in my own opinion, parang it's another form of carrot and stick, no? Anyway, ang point ko dito is nakakita ko ng memo galing sa DBM, maybe, I think
Sign mo yan properly,
2012.
baka unsigned. Just kidding.
Yeah, 2012 siguro. I think ito yung sinasabing mechanism para sa DAP, kung saan tinitingnan ninyo kung ano yung mga pondo na parang hindi gumagalaw. And then you want to use it for something na sa tingin ninyo mas kailangan pondohan. Nakita po namin doon, doon sa DepEd, yung pondo para sa special education, para sa pag-aaral ng mga bata may kapansanan, hindi ho gumagalaw.
Okay.
Pero kapag pumunta ka sa mga areas na wala pang SPED, ang mga school ay uhaw na uhaw sa pagkakaroon ng SPED school, pero hindi gumagalaw. And yet, ito yung mga nanganganib na mga pondo na kukunin ng gobyerno at gagamitin sa ibang bagay. So, sa amin bilang mga may kapansanan, masakit sa amin yon kasi kailangan namin itong pondo na ito para dito. Pero hindi yun nakikita ng gobyerno. Ang tingin lang niya, itong pondo na to ay hindi gumagalaw. So dapat kunin natin, gamitin natin sa iba. And I don't know kung yun din ang pakiramdam ng ibang sektor na yung mga pondo para i-improve sana yung kanilang kondisyon, yung kanilang sitwasyon, ay kukunin sa kanila yon pag ang pera at gagamitin sa iba. So paano kaya magre-respond dito ang gobyerno para siguruhin naman na yung mga pondong ito kasi batas ito GAA ito, di ba? So hindi dapat to basta-basta ginagalaw. At kung meron mang pagkukulang sa implementation, yun ang tingnan dapat sa halip na ginagalaw natin to, gagamitin natin sa iba. I think labag yun sa batas natin. And then gusto ko lang din pong itanong, dito sa bottom-up budgeting, okay, in-approve yung pondo, yung mga projects para improve yung sitwasyon ng mga sektor na napapabilang dito sa ating proseso. And then, na-approve na yan. During implementation, biglang nag-decide ang chief executive, alisin natin yung ibang project, gamitin na lang lahat natin yung pera para sa mga may kapansanan para dito lang sa isang project. Pwede ba nilang gawin yon? Kasi ginawa po nila yon. May mga 3, 4 na project na iba-iba ang ginawa, nilagay na lang sa isang project at yung iba ay hindi na isinama. Babanggitin natin bawa improvement, accessibility ng mga schools. Importante po ang accessibility sa mga may kapansanan para makapag-participate, no? Tulad dito, nasa 42nd floor, kailangan buhatin pa ako. Nakaka-lose ng dignity, no? At bukod pa doon, kung gusto po nating implement yung accessible polling place, nakapapasa lang bilang batas ng ating pamahalaang Pinoy, kailangan po natin ng accessible school. Pero tinanggal nila yung pondo na yon at nilagay nila sa iba. Hindi naman masama yun dahil nakakatulong pa rin. Pero nag-iisip ako, pinag-agrihan ito ng proseso Bakit biglang mababago? So sana po malibigyan nyo kami ng kaliwanagan tungkol dito. Thank you.
Let me just put some things in perspective na po. If that money is not moving and it doesn't move, whether DBM gets it or not, that money goes back to the treasurer. So it's not DBM that's the culprit. It's the implementing agency that we should take into account for that, because DBM, as far as I understood it, will only take away the funds that they go to the agency. Oh, itong fund na ba na to magagamit nyo o hindi? And then they tell us, hindi na ho yan magagamit kasi wala nang oras para gamitin. And then DBM will get it. It's not a unilateral decision by DBM to do that. There is a process by which we identify certain budgetary items that the agencies feel will never be used. So, tama ka. If napag-agrihan, na pag na-submit nila, in-approve ni Congress, tama po kayo. We should make sure na dapat gastusan po yung item na yan. But just to put things in perspective, hindi ho si DBM ang pumipili po nun. Si DBM ho yung nag-aggregate, nag-collate, he presents it to the President, and then the Cabinet discusses the alternative expenditure items for the rest of the year and what will impact the economy, and then they decide on that.
Clarification lang po, sir. Salamat po. So, naitatanong din po kaya sa kanila, halimbawa sa DepEd, bakit hindi nila gagamitin yon? Come to think, pag kinuha natin ang report ng DepEd, sasabihin niya mga 3% lang daw ng mga batang may kapansanan ng nakakapag-aral. Kung 3% lang, bakit hindi nila ginagamit yung pera? Ano ang problema? Naitatanong ho ba yung ganitong klaseng tanong? Sa halip na tatanungin lang natin kung gagamitin nyo pa ba yan o hindi. Kasi ang problema po namin, sa baba, sa school mismo, gusto nila. Nagkakaroon ng problema sa division, sa district, sa region, hanggang sa national. Nandun po may mga bottleneck. Iba't ibang regions, iba-iba yung pinanggagalingan ng bottleneck. Yung problema, minsan nasa region, minsan nasa division, minsan nasa district, minsan nasa national ang problema. So, paano po natin to i-improve?
Actually, we take cognizance of the fact that BBM should now switch from the administrative releasing of budget to a more proactive monitoring of how the budget is being executed. There's an ongoing restructuring, realignment of both the scale, the orientation, and the organization. We're creating a group that will precisely monitor whether what was agreed was what is actually being implemented. And we should not react when it's already the third quarter, because by then it's too late, because the procurement will take 4 or 5 months. So we're trying to create a team so that on the onset, mababantayan po siya quarterly, so that we will ensure that these are being implemented. The email of all the executive officers of DBM are public. So you can write to the executive so that they are cognizant that certain items are not being implemented. Also, you also have to acknowledge to a large degree that a big hierarchical organization are really not prone to be efficient. I think that's part of the problem. So it's an organizational issue. There are procurement issues on the matter. There are feedback mechanisms related to that problem. But in the end, they will just tell you this, and in the end, all these people will still not have all those. So I guess we have to work harder to ensure that the feedback goes straight to. And that's possible. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, and all our emails are published so that you can directly give that to DBM. But let's cut DBM some slack. The job of DBM is to help craft the budget with the assistance of the agencies, and then shepherd that budget to Congress, and then have that approved. After that, it's the agency that is now accountable for the execution of that budget. So I think while we admit that we can do better in DBM, we should also equally rattle DepEd to make sure that these things are being done also. I think now is a good time to do that, because I think the current leadership in DepEd also are responsive to these things.
Commercial lang, may I please? Per our records, the Department of Health audit report was posted on our website on November 26. So that was last Tuesday.
The PhilHealth COA report was posted October. The DOH is November 26. Now, preparation for budget is the first trimester of 2013. So we only had the 2011 COA report. Okay? So that means, given that the preparatory phase is first trimester, in fact, for 2015, it is already this time, not even the 20 then Medyo ano lang po. Medyo lang.
Yeah, we acknowledge we have we have problems. I wish it could be sooner.
Yes.
But I cannot be in every team and working them to death. It's the DOH is a very huge organization. It's nationwide. There are so many attached agencies, and our problem also is that the agencies themselves do not give us what we need to be able to audit. So it's always been a very contentious thing. Kaya nga sabi ko, pag hindi pa nila binigay within a certain period of time, leave them, we don't have an audit. That's the only way we can do it. Of course, even if we put in more people into the team and we're now doing a blitz of recruitment, it's not as if today we hire someone who can already do a DOH audit. So there is a process. And I hope that you will be patient with that. If you can also help us by referring to us, CPAs, I was at the oath taking of the new CPAs last Friday. And so I was making a pitch that government needs them, and I hope that they would consider working for government. There is pride in working for government, even if there's not much money. I think the top 10 or something, they've all been taken in by SGV with a signing bonus of 1 million. So how can you expect to attract, out of sheer patriotism, perhaps, but
the wrong industry.
yeah. So it's very hard. It's very hard.
But there's a light at the end of that tunnel, Madam. There is a PFM committee of which the steering,
They're also part.
the chair Tan, Sec Abad, Sec Purisima are the principals. And part of and we're getting help from USAID.
They're here.
Who are here significantly. One of the key reform there is this system called the Government Integrated Financial Management System. It provides for the linking of the budget and the expenditure and then publish that immediately. Unfortunately, that's a huge system that will be rolled out in the whole bureaucracy. So we're tendering it now. The first tender, 7 tried to apply in the expression of interest. None qualified. So we have to redo that again. We're doing that second batch now. Next year, we will configure that system, and hopefully the year after that, we will now use that system for selected number, eventually for total government. When that happens, the COA and DBM and the public gets a glimpse of real-time expenditure related to the budget. But that's a 3-year project. We wish I'm sure I can take out something and then, said, a la peanut butter sandwiches and it's done. That's what I wanted. In fact, that's the primary reason why I joined government. And I thought it will be done in 2 years. After 2 years, I've just finished the technical specification and I first failed the bidding and then we're running the second bidding. So unfortunately, we have to go through that because anything less than a credible procurement questions the integrity of that one. So bear with us, give us a few years. In fact, we invite you to watch the procurement in the processes every Tuesday in DBM so that you can also watch the procurement process.
Can I add a little thing to what Bon said? And I go back again to the electoral reform because 2016 is very close. We are working hard to get this going in 3 years' time before the term of the current president ends. But as you know, things happen. And so if we are not able to do that for whatever reason, we don't know if the next administration will continue. It's like that. That's been our unfortunate history. So I think I really encourage everyone to be vigilant. If you like what is going on now, and if you like if you like this trend to continue, then do something now also.
Sorry, let me correct. It's not you. We have been getting help from USAID, but let me clear that the help we're getting in GIFMIS comes from AUSAID. AUS. I'm sorry.
AUSAID. It's now the Australian government. Yeah.
Just so that it's clear.
See?
And they have been very, very supportive and generous in giving technical assistance. AUSAID, not
AUSAID,
USAID.
not USAID.
Sorry, sir. I think the head is here, the new one. Today is the... Hello, sir. The one who replaced Warren.
They're here.
I did.
Oops! Thank you, sir.
Before we go to the last question from the floor, let's take one from social media. Excuse me, I lost my voice. From Ivanhoe Torres on Twitter, he asked, is there any possibility that the Philippines can attain a balanced budget?
Good question. You know, the first issue is that I think that the fundamental issue on balancing budget is not about balancing budget. The issue is whether we can manage our economy to provide inclusive growth. And inclusive growth is more important than a balanced budget. What we need to be is be put in a position where we can effectively manage our debt. So that's more important than a balanced budget. What if we have a balanced budget simply because we did not spend for Yolanda? And you know, if you check our debt to GDP, it's now at 3%. And it started with close to 40% just a decade ago. So 2% of the deficit, and it's, you know, that's way better than the US, way better than many of the European countries. So we should not aim for balanced budget. We should aim for inclusive growth.
Inclusive growth instead of a balanced budget. The last question from the
Last
floor.
question, Mai Fabros from Women Health Philippines. Ma'am, I love your website.
Who's
COA's website. I also enjoy DBM's website,
Thank you
but
too.
particularly because I've been monitoring the COA website even before you came in the picture, and it's a huge, huge difference now. Huge.
Thank you. Thank you.
Humongous difference, because just last week I was looking at, was doing research on the utilization of the syntax, particularly for the farmers. And I came across a 2011 report of one LGU, and it was so concrete. I mean, exactly where they spend it, and the performance audit was there, and it was so immaculate. So thank you for that. And I think for the DBM, I know that you're also looking at how, now with syntax rolling, you're also looking at how to monitor. So we're also looking forward to how it will turn up in your website, which is also very accessible. Needs to be more accessible to more Filipinos, but it's a huge leap from how it was before. Would like to see more of the programs and the actual activities, you know, more specific details, so we can, I think the details really say it all, because a lot of things get lost in the details, and that's why I particularly like the COA reports, because it's so detailed. If I go to that particular LGU, I can check out the street and see that it's been the same street for the past 20 years. So no change has really been happening. And this whole trend about performance budgeting, performance audit, it's exciting. Parang pwede ba mag-score 10%, audience impact. Ganun ba yan? But I would like to say that if we are able to attain such a critical mass, parang I was asking some young people about how they felt if they were part of the budget. Yung attribution, sir, na binabanggit nyo, they don't feel the government at all. Parang they only feel it when the road is about to be fixed, when there's elections, but otherwise, young people don't really feel it. They don't feel that they're part of it. So noon I was asking, why? Don't we have a class in governance or a subject? Parang wala eh. Nobody really knows how to pay taxes. Nobody really knows that government is devolved. Nobody really knows. Parang if we're talking about creating a critical mass of citizens who are accountable, perhaps we should look into building and rearing them to be accountable citizens from the get-go. I mean, I'm so glad this is the 150th year of Andres Bonifacio. We're talking about Katipunan, Cartilla, being a true Katipunero. Baka it's time for us to rethink the curriculum. K-12 is here.
It's actually going back to basics.
Yun na nga, ma'am. Pero I think, di ba napakalaking bagay if you know what an active citizen is, what it means, when you say, oh, bantayan mo. We don't even know that they're accountable to us. It's so detached. Parang you only feel, oh, bumoto ka. Boto? Buboto ka kasi kapitbahay mo yung barangay captain, tapos pag bumagyo na, papalitan niya yung bubong mo. But you don't really know what it really means and how it really resonates. So baka magandang, when you talk about the critical mass, I'm really glad the leaps and bounds, yung changes na ginawa, particularly sa COA, and I'm really glad for that. But perhaps we need to establish and institutionalize this active citizenship from the start. Teach our children, teach young people. Hindi na college is too late.
Yeah.
You're jaded already when you're in college. But you start them young, really. I mean, no. But that's true. Wala na eh. Di ba, yung mga fundamental years sa akin, 10 years old yan eh. Yung, ngayon, they listen to also. I think we need to teach them how to be active citizens. We need to teach ourselves how to be the critical mass, diba? Yung last po, so baka pwede natin i-push yan. 2016, bago matapos yung 10, isang subject lang, oh. One subject. What is a true Filipino? Chore. O citizenship, a class on citizenship that talks about how to file taxes, that when you watch a movie, across podium, when you watch, you pay, you actually contribute to the roads. You actually contribute to your healthcare. So nobody really knows these things. Baka we can look into that. Last, sir, sorry. I know it's the third one. So the first one is the great
Perfect.
auditing and monitoring performance budgeting. Look, I'm really excited to see how the syntax will play out, particularly for the farmers and PhilHealth and all of that. A citizenship class that is required. Kung merong Rizal, sana magkaroon ng Andres Bonifacio class din. Pero citizenship class, how to pay taxes, how to cross the road, yung mga ganyan. Last, sir, you mentioned, Maria, earlier about the rehabilitation and reconstruction. All this talk about rehab. Parang feeling ko, addict ba tayo sa bagyo, bagyo, bagyo? We're so addicted to relief and reconstruction and rehabilitation, and we do that 26 times in a year.
And we never learn.
We never learn, exactly. And I'm a bit worried because I'm scanning through great research at the Pag-asa website. They actually did a 1999 study. 1999. Can you imagine that? They did a study on Leyte, about Leyte prone to storm surge. 1999, imagine that. So, ibig sabihin nun, all this time, all of that information about climate change, adaptability, andun na siya, tas hindi nila alam. Pero pag tinignan mo yung Leyte, i-assess mo yung COA report nila, kita mo, ginawa nila lahat ng required training, DRR, captive, name it. Nag-ready project, Leyte din yun. I think that was AusAid. Was it? Yeah, it was AusAid. The Ready project? Yes. Yes, it was AusAid. Congratulations. You did. That was an amazing research. They cited 27 at-risk provinces, and Leyte was one. Some are, actually, tawag ko nga dun the Great Revelation, kasi the Book of Revelations, the Ready project, mentioned all the areas that was hit by Yolanda. And so I asked, last year we passed an amazing law, the People's Survival Fund. It's called the Climate Change Adaptation Fund. This fund is supposed to not just, do relief and rehab, reconstruct, but really to assess how we can not just bounce back, not just to be resilient, but avoid such precarious situations. My question, sir, is this: why is it that the program funds, why is the 500 million that's for the People's Survival Fund, the Climate Change Adaptation Fund, still in the unprogrammed funds? Why is it not, lalo na ngayon that we have supplemental funds, we have the Rehab and Recon Fund, bakit ang Climate Change Adaptation? Although I know that the Committee on Finance parang approved 300 million to DNR-CCA. Bakit po yung 500 million that will trickle down to LGUs? This will go straight to LGUs. This is not BUB. It will go straight to LGUs. Why are we having a hard time funding it? Dahil wala bang infra? What's the buzz? Bakit po yung CCA, yung Climate Change Adaptation at yung People's Survival Fund nasa unprogrammed funds pa din? Baka pwede pong isabit na natin dun sa Rehab and Recon para habang nire-rehabilitate, nire-reconstruct, nag-a-adapt din yung mga communities.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm calling a friend.
Pwede po call a friend. Mag-voting na rin po tayo.
Sure.
Pwede po call a friend.
I actually was asked the same question on the survival fund.
Ay, talaga po?
And my answer then, just a few weeks ago, was that, I need to research on the survival fund.
Ay.
But for the last 2 years, the Philippines has been climate-proofing the budget. Proof of that is that we have increased climate-related mitigation. And in fact, this 2014, we have included a substantial jump in the mitigation specific to relocating families in danger zone estero area. So I think I think it might not be entirely fair to say that we're not. In fact,
Opo.
I spoke in Washington
Ay,
precisely
talaga
on
po.
that item. The Philippines was asked to speak about best practices on climate proofing, and Kai was there to confirm
Kai,
that,
hi,
that
Kai.
meeting. However, I don't know the answer to why it's still in
Adaptation,
the
sir, is
unprogrammed.
different from mitigation. It's a
Yeah.
it's a new buzzword.
Yeah, but we will check that, and then
Yes,
the,
sir,
the new
yes, sir.
budget starts. The budget call started December.
Yes, sir.
This discussion will happen the first 3 weeks. This is a perfect time to
to
remind
ask this
everyone.
Yes, sir.
DBM agrees that, and in fact, the government's policy is to agree to attend to mitigation rather than rehabilitation. So that's fine.
Adaptation, sir. So you said the government
Adaptation.
is geared towards mitigation
policy.
rather than They will also have a policy, sir, on adaptation, which is a more preventive and more prepared response to the changes in climate, the surges, the change in temperature, particularly how its impact towards our farmers.
Food,
Yes, sir.
security,
Food,
safety.
security, safety. Kaya po, sir,
You have to.
I think, yes, sir. I
You
will
have
get
to
your
help us,
number,
yes.
sir, and I will share my information with you. How does that sound?
Yes, please.
Because
But
we are a
also-
collaborative mass.
Yes, please. And I guess how do you stop 22 typhoons coming in?
No, you don't stop, sir. You
You have to
adapt.
adapt.
Yes, sir.
So which begs this question then. All our airports are near the coastal shores, right? Which are vulnerable to storm
Yes, sir.
surges. It's there because it makes sense to put it there because it will cost 15 to 20% more fuel if we put our airports in inland, and it's more dangerous.
Yes, sir.
So does that mean then that we take out all our airports and put it inland?
No, sir. It doesn't mean that, but it means that we have to assess it and then we study it. But that is something I think that we are all looking for, and then I think that's why you passed this law was passed under this administration, the People's Survival Fund. Primarily, I think I particularly enjoy that provision there that requires that local governments and the national government come up with a plan, a climate change adaptation plan. So it's not just a matter of, hey, this whole area in Manila will be flooded, it will be submerged. Let's put parang Lego lang or Monopoly. There is a more conscious
Yeah.
and thorough planning. And we're
Actually,
looking forward to,
I've asked the same question, and a lot of it comes
Yes.
under the Climate Change Commission now, right? And what we were told is that what they needed to do first, because the law was just
yes,
enacted last year,
yes.
they didn't want to spend the money without consideration. And you're talking about 1,800 local government units. And again, we can go directly to Secretary Sering or whoever is in charge of it. But what they wanted to do was to come up with something that was more studied, that actually puts together both mitigation and adaptation.
Adaptation.
The other part of, because disaster risk reduction is mostly where all the money has gone.
coming.
But both mitigation and adaptation have been left behind, and that's part of, now coming up with the plan is the one that takes a while. You don't want to do it piecemeal. Again, these are the questions that's the answer we
That
got
you
when we
asked.
asked. Yeah. So I can get it directly from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
And also you
Thank you.
But
you have it
looking
from
forward
DBM.
also,
Yes,
sir,
ma'am.
to more climate proofing. Thank you very much, sir. You have a beautiful night. Thank you
Great
very much.
question. Thank you so much. We now. Chair Tan just went to the ladies' room, but before she comes back, because we want to clap for her when she comes back, and also for Undersecretary Moya, who's been so patient. So we have one more gentleman. We'll take one more question, and then we'll wrap up, I promise. So you can eat, I promise.
Good evening.
Please, sir, your
yeah.
name and your
My name is
organization.
Nick from Nick Jantolia from Pasay City. I am the Secretary of Homeowners Association and chairperson of a cooperative thereat. And my question is, do you consider the Right to Information Bill, if turned into law, will help or become a solution to curbing the corruption involving budget? Yes.
Not just budget.
Everything.
We feel that transparency solves many of our problems. So yes, we agree. That's why the administration submitted a bill last year to Congress, and hopefully this year we can work on that. Yes, we agree. We agree that part of our problem is a lot of mistrust, which causes us to be inefficient and slow. And the answer to that is to earn the trust. And the answer to earning the trust is to actually disclose more accurately. So we agree that transparency is a necessary prerequisite to any democracy.
Fantastic. Okay, we are
Thank you.
at the
Thank you
tail
very
end.
much.
Thank you so much for your question. We've had an interesting discussion. Chair Tan is making her way up to the stage now. We started the evening by talking about a period of creative destruction. We've gotten it from the people who actually have to make it happen and move us forward. They've thrown the challenge back to civil society. They basically said they need help. And civil society seems to have come back. The challenge was accepted. It's a different period of time, a time of both opportunities and great danger. You have been watching #Budget Watch. Let's say thank you to COA Chair Grace Polita Tan, and DBM Undersecretary Richard Moya.
Can I just make an announcement?
Please.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to inform everyone that tomorrow we will be launching what we call the Legal Information Archive or something, web-based. So you can access our web, and whatever it is that you want to know about COA and our work at the COA, the rules and regulations, decisions, etc., you can find them there in searchable format. So now, kasi you have to know what you're looking for. But this time, starting tomorrow, you may, if there's anything you want to know about PDAF, just type the PDAF and then everything that we have on the PDAF will come out on the screen, that kind of thing. I'm sure that it will take a little while before the system gets stable. There will be glitches, but rest assured that we will work on it with a lot of dispatch. Our objective is for us and our audited agencies as well as the public to be on the same page. Because sometimes they always tell us, oh yeah, but we don't know that the COA rules are like this and like that, even if we are publishing them naman. So okay, now we have a central repository of all of these things, which will be a source for both our auditors and the public and the audited agencies. So there should not be any more miscommunication or misapprehension. And second, I do not really want to make promises that I cannot keep. Our guest who was asking about the DOH annual audit report a while ago was trying to explain to me that they really need the audit reports earlier, not because like 2015 they're already preparing. I have to tell you, it's an impossibility. We will not be able to do it. Until perhaps GIFMIS comes around, then there will be a dramatic improvement. But for now, would you know, ladies and gentlemen, that we are not even computerized? So there's a lot of things that we do mano-mano, but I hope that with what we have done in the last 2.5 years, you can see the earnest by which we're trying to push for even better reforms. So thank you.
Fantastic. You have been watching #Budget Watch. I'm Maria Ressa. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And Yusek Moya.